Krishna. So I was asked to speak something on Srila Prabhupada in Mayapur in the early days. And others will add or can add as we're going along. I remember the very first time Srila Prabhupada came to this of land. That's from where the conch, the lotus building is, down to the road. This was time. So it's 1972, and this was going to be the first international Gaur Purnima festival that was ever held. So, and to make arrangements, just myself, I was cooking for Chutananda Maharaj and Prabhas and Narayan. They were going out making arrangements for pandals and for tents for the devotees to sleep. At that time, there was nothing here but rice fields. If you were sitting here, you could see the jog pit, you could see over to Nabadweep, you could see Bhaktivinoda Thakur's house. Any direction you looked, it was just completely flat, hardly any trees, practically no buildings. And so I was sent to cook while the other devotees were going out making all the arrangements. Anyway, Srila Prabhupada arrived here 1972, must have been February, or it may have been March. And I guess about 70 devotees came that year. That was big, also big for India because no one hardly seen any Western devotees before Prabhupada. So this was the first like a big program we had on our own property, and it was for Gaur Purnima, and there was also many prikrams coming round. So village people. So actually thousands of people were coming around for Gaur Purnima prikram. So it was a big success for us. Everybody was surprised to see Prabhupada's disciples, Western disciples. And we had a big program here, a pandal program, which was just in between here and the Samadhi. And Prabhupada invited some of his God brothers, and small Radha Madhava came. Previously they were in Calcutta temple. So, and at that time also Srila Prabhupada laid the foundation for his temple of Vedic planetarium at the site of the pandal. So Prabhupada came a few weeks before the festival had started, and he looked very happy to be in Mayapur. He looked just like a young man, actually. And he was staying in the Bajrang Kutir. This was the only building we had, Prabhupada's Bajrang Kutir. So we were living there, and Prabhupada also stayed there. And his screen in between, and his servant had the next portion. Then anyone else was there. We shared the rest of the Bajrang Kutir. So it was nice to be living with Srila Prabhupada in such close quarters. We could see all of his movements, and He kept the same schedule that he did anywhere else in the world. He would rise early in the evening and translate his books. He would have a kerosene lantern on his desk. Because there was no electricity here at that time. There's no running water. But still Prabhupada maintained that same schedule as he does in sophisticated cities where he's got all facility. He would do exactly the same schedule, his morning walk and translations, etc., give a class. Of course, there was lots of mosquitoes at that time, because when you're the only light for miles and miles around, everything comes there, and all different types of bugs, because we were right on the bank of the Ganga. So now you see there's lots of bugs at night, but that time there was only one light. So they all the bugs came to these little lights, and thousands of mosquitoes used to live there. It was like a buzzing sound continuously. So we used to burn the cow dung to make smoke and fan it and fill the whole bhajan kutir up with smoke to get the mosquitoes out. And of course we'd all be crying and with our eyes would be stinging. Prabhupada was completely at home there. It didn't bother him at all. And he said, my Guru Maharaj, he used to have his chapatis cooked on cow dung. He said it gives a very nice flavor. So my Guru would always finish the chapatis on hot cow dung fire. But he complained about the mosquitoes. He said we used to put the mosquito net over his bed, and he would do translating in bed. He used to have a typewriter. And he would say, these mosquitoes, he said, I just put my hand under the net to get some papers or something. He said, immediately they come and bite me. And Guru Das Prabhu was sitting next to Prabhupada, and he leaned over to him and he said, Srila Prabhupada, do they have any mosquitoes in Goloka Vrindavan? And then Prabhupada leaned back and he said, if they are, they're all chanting Hare Krishna. We had one cow, Kamaduk, and she was pregnant, and she was going to give birth right at that time of when Prabhupada arrived. And when the cow gives birth, that milk, it becomes very thick, and it's just for the calf for the first, I don't know how long, a few weeks or something like that. But it's not for human consumption. It's a very kind of thick, slimy kind of milk. And anyway, that cow had a miscarriage before Prabhupada came. But then after some time, then that milk was okay. So by the time Prabhupada arrived, then she started giving pure milk that humans could consume. So when we told Prabhupada what had happened, he said that Krishna, he sacrificed this calf so I could get milk. Srila Prabhupada ki. Another thing Prabhupada didn't like was people who snore at night. So Bhavananda Prabhu was saying, Prabhupada's coming tomorrow, so he doesn't like anybody who snores. You can't stay here. That was the only building there, of course. You can't sleep. Anybody, he was questioning everyone. And, no, we don't snore, we don't snore. So anyway, when Prabhupada arrived in the middle of the night, he goes, Bhavananda, somebody is snoring out there. So Bhavananda tried to go and find the devotee, and he said, you have to go and sleep under the trees. He sent him right away, and he just had to sleep under the trees. And another time, Tamal Krishna Maharaj was snoring. And Prabhupada said, "You're snoring." "No, Srila Prabhupada, I don't snore." He said, "You're snoring." He said, "I don't snore when I'm sleeping, Prabhupada." Prabhupada said, how do you know you don't snore if you're asleep?" There's two things, these mosquitoes and people who snore at night. These were Prabhupada's pet dislikes. I don't know if he had any more, he must have done, but that he expressed two things I don't like. Mosquitoes and people who snore, and you see both of these come out at night. And that's when Prabhupada was translating his work. That was his mission and his greatest service for his Guru Maharaj and humanity. And because it interfered with that, these two things became his pet hates. They were interfering with his translation work. Okay. And he said of the two, the snorers are the worst. After the first Gopurnima festival was over, and everybody left, and Srila Prabhupada stayed for some time more. But he said, where is the deities? They said, oh, they packed in the trunk, Srila Prabhupada, they're going back to Calcutta. And he said, no. He said, Radha-Madhava should stay here now. Now they've come. They said, Prabhupada, where will they stay? Prabhupada said, where are you staying? They said, we're only staying in the Bhajan Kutir, that's all there is, apart from the tents, which were temporary. So Prabhupada said, no, they can stay there also, till we build something for them. So then, little Radha-Madhava were also in the Bhajan Kutir also. It's just they had a table and a piece of cloth around them, that was it. So everyone was together with the deities. And I got second initiation at that festival, and just after that, I was made the pujari. So then the first time I gave Srila Prabhupada some Charnamrita, so it was the first like a direct service I had. I think, I gave him a garland before, or something like that, but here was a service I had to offer Srila Prabhupada Charnamrita. So he came and he held out his hand, and my hand was completely uncontrollably shaking like that. And I could hardly hold the spoon of Charnamrita to give Prabhupada. And it never happened before, it never happened again, but and Prabhupada just looked at me and he kind of very cheeky look on his face. And then I could steady my hand and give him Charnamrita. I understood that Maya was shaking. You serve a pure devotee, she's finished. So I guess she thought my days are numbered if he gives the Charnamrita to the pure devotee. Another time he was sitting just on the veranda of the Bhajan Kutir with his godbrother, Srila Damodar Maharaj, who used to live next door. So he would often come and talk to Srila Prabhupada. So they were sitting there one time, just on the veranda. I came with the Charnamrita and I said, Charnamrita, Srila Prabhupada. And he looked, and then he just tilted his head back and he just opened his mouth. And he wanted me to pour the Charnamrita in his mouth. It was such a different expression, a different mood. Was, he's my savior, he's my Lord, my master, he's everything for me. And then suddenly it's like a little baby, you're feeding it. Then I offered to his godbrother did the same thing. And But he was always anxious that about people coming to Mayapur. He expressed many times, also later on. But at that time, no one was coming to Mayapur. I mean, no one. Except for like Gopurnima festival and Julan Yatra. Outside of that, nobody came, really, because we lived right on the road. And so we would see every day the same people would come back. They're all the village people. And once in a while, actually someone will come. So then I could see someone coming down the road, and they were, you know, like nicely dressed. They weren't the regular village farmers, you know, you could tell by the dress, but they were quite respectable. And I thought, oh, some guests coming in. It's very unusual at that time. And then they actually came into the property because it's just a mud ramp, like an embankment was there. I said, oh, they're coming in. I should get back to Godhead, because I thought that's what we do, we distribute books. I joined in India, so I was never got caught up in the book distribution the whole world was doing. So I thought, well, yeah, we had some back to God. I thought I should distribute books. Everybody does that in ISKCON, so I have an opportunity now. So I just ran to get it back to God. I came back and Prabhupada was already standing there. And he said, why no one is here? He said, people are coming. First people are coming in about a week or so. People are coming. He said, no one is here. Someone should be here to give them some Janamrita. One time he was sitting with Prabhupada in a bhajan kutir, and then some owl or bow come, sadhu, with his ekatanga, and he came in. Om Jai Jagadish Hare, Hari Om Jai Jagadish Hare. And he was chanting in front of Radha-Madhava. I was sitting next to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada was writing, so he looked up and he said, you know this song? I said, yes, Srila Prabhupada. I learned when I was in Kashmir. It's a Mayavadi song. Go and stop him, he said. And I thought, he's a sadhu, you know, because I was brand new also, a sadhu. How can I tell him to stop? Anyway, my Guru Maharaj just ordered it. He said, go and stop him. So I had to go out to the sadhu, but he just left. As soon as I got there, he just left. Another time, Prabhupada was in the bhajan kutir, and I was sitting there. We had a kitchen in the back. We had a tent where the devotees would cook. And so the devotees were cooking, and Prabhupada was sitting in his room. Of course, that bhajan kutir was just made out of chatai, that's just bamboo walls, and so you could hear all the sounds coming through. So the devotees had a new contraption. It was a little press for making puris. It was 2 discs and a little handle, and you get a bit of atta or moida, and you make a ball and you put it, and you just pull the handle down, and it makes the puri, and then you just throw it in the ghee. So they just got this, so it was a novelty for them, you know. We had this puri press and they were throwing, so the devotees were sitting there, because they had that kajur gur from the date trees, and so it's really nice with puris. So they started to, they were making, but we could hear everything that was going on, and Prabhupada was just sitting there. And then he was hearing, hey, give me one of those puris over here. And give me a puri, give me a puri. And Prabhupada was looking a bit concerned, and then he was still writing, and he was, give me another one, give me a puri, hey, give me one over here. And then Prabhupada, he got up and he was really concerned. And he said, they shouldn't take more than 2 puris. Not in Mayapur, he said. Then, hey, give me another one, give me another one. Hey, give one over, throw one over here. 3, not more than 3, he said. Not in Mayapur. They shouldn't live so opulently like this. That was Sridhar Maharaj, and there's all brahmacharis and Tadpur Maharaj. And Prabhupada also was very merciful to me in the Bhajan Kuti. He gave me instruction. And I think Radhanath Swami was telling a story yesterday. You should get 3 times you get the instructions from Guru. So it's an act of mercy of Srila Prabhupada. That he said, Bhavananda Prabhu was there, and he was talking to Srila Prabhupada, and I was just sitting there. Then he said this Jananiwas, he said, he should have help. Because I was the only pujari at that time, so it meant I had to do everything from morning till night. Because there's only about 4 or 5 devotees there. So I was doing everything. So he said, he should have help. He said, he is an ordinary person. He cannot do everything. Give him help. Then he said to me, so he said, you should train up pujaris. I've been a pujari for a few days, or a couple of months. I didn't know anything about it. And then he said some more things. I can't remember. Then again, you should train up pujaris. He said again. And I said, okay. So then when we were leaving the Bhajan Kutir, if we can get an order from Guru and execute that, that becomes our perfection. There was... These date trees that grow here, Kajur, the dates don't get big here for some reason. But they cut the tree and they make the sap and they make gur from it. So the liquid that comes out, generally they cut the trees at night so the liquid drips in the pots. And then you can drink that also in the morning. Some people say it's very healthy. So they drink. So then he didn't say anything else about it. And then that evening, because Prabhupada would give a darshan in the evening, so we were sitting there. There was one devotee named Dwija Hari. He was a kind of real tough guy. He was a Marine. And from South America. But so we were just sitting there at Prabhupada, and then he said, Srila Prabhupada, he said, sometimes me and the boys, we take a japa walk and we go down the road and we take this kajur ras and we take it. It's really good, Prabhupada. It sounded like, me and the boys, we go down the bar and we knock a few back. The way he said it, it was really funny. I mean, I wouldn't have said it to Prabhupada. The way and Prabhupada said, oh, really, you do that also. So now he had a dilemma. He had, the Bhavananda, the president, he was completely anti, and he saw that the devotees were enjoying it. So now Prabhupada had to make his decision. So the next morning, we were all in there early morning for darshan. We go morning and evening. And then his servant, Shruti Kirti, came in, and he had a glass of kajur ras. And he said, Srila Prabhupada, would you like to try some kajur ras? And Prabhupada looked at him, He held it up and he started drinking. The kajur ras says, very nice. Give some to all the devotees here. So he gave his glass and we poured it a little and everybody took Prabhupada Prasad. Bhavananda didn't. Srila Prabhupada ki. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
So is that still available in Mayapur?
Oh yeah. Now it's season for the kajuras.
Where do we find it?
Before sunrise. Speak.
Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I came to Mayapur to live in 1974, so that was the time I saw Srila Prabhupada here. And one time he stayed a long time, about 3 months after the festival. So we had a very nice darshan. Srila Prabhupada used to sit either in his room, every night he would give darshan. We could go in his room from about 5 o'clock until arati time. Then arati time everyone would leave. He would tell everyone to go. Should go to arati. And everyone leave, all. Tamil Krishna Maharaj, we should also go. If the leaders don't go, why will the others go? And sometimes he would sit in the park, as we call Prabhupada's park, opposite the Lotus building. He would sit there's a seat in the center and put cushions there. He would have his darshan there. It was very nice. And one time one man came and he was reading a newspaper article about Mayapur. So he was saying, he was reading about the different mats along here, the different Gaudiya mats, and how the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's birthplace and how the mission was spreading all over the world, and and he was reading, he was going on, and there wasn't one mention of ISKCON, which is like the biggest thing at the time, because there's hundreds and thousands of foreigners coming, but he didn't mention one time. So then when he finished, it was a bit of a what do you call it? Waiting for the kind of misnomer. It was wrong. So he was going on, and when he finished, everyone was looking at each other as if to say, So then Prabhupada said, "Oh, all done by the Gaudiya mat, yes." And everyone started laughing. No, sorry, he didn't say it. There was one Hari Krishna Guha. He was a CID man, local CID in Navadvip. So then it became all quiet because this guy was glorifying everyone in Mayapur except ISKCON and Prabhupada. There's no mention. So then this man from the CID, policeman, then he broke the ice. He said, "Oh, all done by the Gaudiya mat." Everyone burst out laughing. And Prabhupada said, "Yes." He says, "He's a detective." Well, Srila Prabhupada used to go on his morning walk. Whatever direction he went in, and it's just fields, this way, that way, that. He'd walk and then he would stop and turn around and he would come back, not the same way, he would start another way back. But somehow or other, he always arrived exactly on time for darshan, just a few minutes before 7 o'clock. It's amazing. And one time they were late because we used to clean the temple at that time. And they were just finishing off squeegeeing the water out of the temple. And Prabhupada said, "Oh, we're not finished? Okay." Then he walked around the temple again, and then he came in. But it was amazing how he managed to come back. Any direction he went, he came back at the same time. We were living in the Pujari room, which was in the Lotus building, this side of the Lotus building. It's not there anymore, but where the exhibition, the Chaitanya exhibition is now, that was the Nat Mandir. And we were living at this side, the Pujari, so we were sleeping there. We used to take our bath outside, had a tap. Then I would hang my gamsha on the fence. It was just a wire fence around a little garden, a flower garden, which used to be around the building. And then I would take it back in, when it dried, about 9 o'clock in the morning. The Prabhupada's on his morning walk, and he said, you see this gum shirt? He said, it's been here for 3 days. He said, why are you not noticing? Where's the, call the managers. So he was like, who's responsible for this? He said, no one sees. He says, every day we're walking here, no one's seeing, you're letting this stay here for 3 days. So he would chastise. He would train the managers like that. And he would see everything. As Bhavananda said, if there was a tap which dripped every 4 hours, that would be the time that Srila Prabhupada would come past. And he would say, you see, they're wasting Krishna's energy. You go turn the tap up. Or even in the building, he's walking around the veranda. Actually, Prabhupada designed that building, that lotus building, because the devotees were in a quandary how to build this building. So they said, Srila Prabhupada, how big do you want it? What's it going to be like? So it's going to be a temple and a place for all the foreign devotees to come and stay in. They can't stay in the tent. So now you get an engineer, and you get an architect, and you build a 3-story building with big wide verandas, he said. So it's nice, we can chant on the verandas, we can eat on the verandas, and it's crowded, the devotees can sleep on the verandas. So that was Prabhupada's personal design. And when they were building the long building, one day Prabhupada called the manager. He said, see that man, that worker over there? I've been watching him for 10 minutes. He's not doing anything. He said, you go and fire him. He was walking around the building and around his floor, and then he stopped and he checked the handle of the door, and the door was locked. And he said, just see. He said, here inside, the fan is running. He said, the fan is running and there's no one inside. He said, demons. Demoniac. Very, very serious, very grave. He said, this is Krishna's energy. He said, the devotees, they're giving their blood to collect money from Mayapur, and you're wasting the money. You're spending money like water. He says, demoniac. Or if there was a light bulb burning in the daytime, Prabhupada would see it. And he'd call the manager. He would call them. And sometimes he'd mention it in the Bhagavatam class. just to train us further, then one day he was sitting in his room, a lot of devotees there, sannyasis, GBCs, all his senior devotees. People are surrendered their whole lives to him. So he got up to go to the bathroom, and he had his little desk there, and he had a drawer which you could lock. So he picked up the key and he went to the bathroom, and he got to the door, and then he came back. He came back to his desk, and there were some coins, paisa. You know those aluminium coins we used to have? There's a few coins on the desk. So he took the coins, unlocked the drawer, put the coins in, closed the drawer, locked it, and then went to the bathroom. All the sannyasis and GBCs were looking at each other. They're giving their whole life to Prabhupada, and what's he trying to say? That we're going to take, it's going to take 50 pies. But that was the lesson he was teaching, that it's Krishna's energy, and we have to, it's not easy to come by, and we have to, don't squander Krishna's energy. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada says there's 2 supreme personalities of Godhead, Krishna and cash in hand. But he was very, very careful about that, about overspending money. As we know from his diary, Srila Prabhupada's diary, he used to keep account of everything, right? When he used to get a letter, he would slit the letter open and the inside of the envelope he would use for writing his notes. So no waste there. And he would keep a note of everything, every paisa that he spent. So he expected us and it was very difficult when the devotees had to ask him for money, because he was paying all the money for the construction for here, Bombay and Vrindavan. It wasn't easy to ask Srila Prabhupada. He wanted to know all the details, how he was spending the money, and he was very, very concerned also that we got cheated. I was quite new at that time, so I didn't have a lot of personal association with Srila Prabhupada. One time we used to do a guard on top of the stairs to the Lotus building on his floor. Then someone would always be sitting there in a chair, 24 hours, like a guard duty. I was sitting there one day, and I had on a chair, and I had one foot on my knee, and Prabhupada would come out the other backside of his room, came round, and I was looking towards his room, but suddenly I looked round and he was standing next to me, and I kind of froze. He was just looking at me, and he said, you know you shouldn't sit in front of your spiritual master like that. One leg like this. I was sitting like this. So then I said, I don't know anything, Srila Prabhupada. So then immediately I got down and paid my obeisances, but I had a sprain or something. So he saw the bandage on my leg. So he said, oh, you have a bad leg? I said, yes, Srila Prabhupada. He said, then that's all right. Another time I was sitting there chanting, and I was chanting you could hear Srila Prabhupada when he was chanting. I couldn't hear him chanting, but I could hear his beads clicking, click, click. But one time I was sitting there, and I was chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Then Shruti Kirti Prabhu came out, and he said, Srila Prabhupada has requested you to chant a little softly. So I felt so bad. He's translating his books, and I was disturbing him. But he did it in such a nice way that, the spiritual master is requesting you, please chant a little softly. Another devotee, who's, him, he was left his body recently, Radhanath Prabhu. He was here, and he was sitting on the chair. He was doing the duty, night duty, day duty. So he wondered what does Srila Prabhupada do when he's alone. So he got on his hands and knees, and he went to the room, and he peeped to, he would peep out to the window. So as he got up like that, he looked up, and Prabhupada was just staring. That time, Shatadana Prabhu, he was doing the night shift. It was very dangerous at that time. Literally, there was dacoits, bands of every night. There was bands of people wandering around. It was because at the time the Naxal communists started coming. It was very dangerous. I mean, very wild. He said. So we had taken in turns, and used to have a shotgun, and just walk around the building all night. And so Shadana said one day he was on the first floor. So he's walking around, and he came to the staircase, and he just felt something. On the right, and he went and looked underneath the staircase. So he looked down, and Prabhupada was crouched under the staircase. He said, "Oh, Srila Prabhupada, what are you doing?" Prabhupada said, "Just checking." That time Prabhupada just sit on a chair on the end of the veranda sometimes and watch, see if people were coming. One time he's walking around, it was sunset time, and Prabhupada was shining. He was like the sun god. I mean, effulgent like anything. And the devotees went, "Prabhupada, just walking around glowing and gargling and saying, bring a camera, somebody bring a camera, quick. It's shining like anything, in the golden color. When one time in the darshan, everyone was sitting in his room, lots of devotees there, senior devotees, and when Harisari, he tells a story how Prabhupada used to get angry, and when Prabhupada didn't say anything, that was the worst. Didn't chastise you or anything, that was the worst kind of anger. But there was sometimes a very heavy presence. There's always a presence, a great presence, Prabhupada, no matter what. Sometimes it was very deep, very heavy, so everyone was sitting in his room and it was very quiet. And it was one of those moods. And so Prabhupada was just looking around at everyone. And it was very kind of intense kind of thing. So he said, so are there any questions? And nobody said anything. Then the atmosphere got more thick. He said, no questions. It is the duty of the disciple to question the spiritual master. Why are there no questions? It got even more intense. Then someone wanted to break the ice. Srila Prabhupada in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the third case, it says this, like this, like this, like this. He said, is that right? He said, fool! What kind of question is that? He said, you're quoting from the Srimad Bhagavatam, asking me if this is right. This is not the kind of question you ask. And it got even more intense. Then Srila Hridayananda Maharaj managed to ask a good question. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai.